Hello, my name is Paula Deming, and I was just at Gen Con. Me and about 70,000 other people. Did we all come back sick? Yeah, I think we did. Wash your hands, people. Anyway, I'm mostly recovered now, so let's talk about the 10 games I saw at Gen Con 2024 that got me the most excited. It's my top 10 games of Gen Con 2024. First, a caveat. Gen Con is a huge convention, and this year was record-breaking. I was not lying or exaggerating when I said 70,000 something people were there, okay? It was sold out all 4 days. It was very crowded and difficult to maneuver through, and the exhibit hall is so big. It has so many different booths and games. There's just no way you can see it all. I say all that because if you watch this list and then go, why wasn't this game on your list? It's honestly probably because I just didn't see it. So to make this list, they had to be games I saw at the convention, like physically in front of me. Which leads me into our quickfire honorable mentions. I've just got 4 games for you this time, 3 of which I actually came home with. But the first one I just saw at a press event. Arkham Horror, the role-playing game. Call of Cthulhu is my favorite tabletop RPG, so I'm already on board with the theme of this. I'm intrigued by the dice system. It uses a pool of D6s that gets smaller as you take damage. It claims to be an introductory set, and I love something that might help me get more people playing TTRPGs, so I'm pretty curious about it. Sausage Sizzle. I mean, look at this. We've got cute Australian animals, we've got push your luck a dice rolling a la Yahtzee, and we've got one of my favorite foods, hot dogs. Also, I was promised that the game devolves into people just chanting the word wiener. And what's not to be excited about? Things and Rings. This breaks my brain in the best way. I'm bad at it, but I want to keep playing it over and over to get good. It's word association, clue giving, deducing, with the only downtime being you doing this. Trying to figure out what it all means. War story, occupied France. Co-op, narrative spy game, set in World War II, designed by David Thompson and Dave Neal. Inject it into my veins. I think I'm going to get to play this on my Twitch stream with Matthew Jude soon, so stay tuned. Okay, time for the real list. Number 10 is Rock Hard 1977, designed by Jackie Fox and published by DeVere Games. This is a worker placement game all about being a musician trying to hit it big with your band in the year 1977, hence the title. Rock Hard, 1977. This is not written in my script, but every time I mention this to people at Gen Con, I'd be like, oh, I'm really interested in checking out that Rock Hard game. And they'd be like, oh, Rock Hard, 1977. Like, they made sure to add in the year. And I kept just calling it Rock Hard, and they kept being like, 1977. It's like, it must be an important part of the title, so don't get it wrong. This was one of my most anticipated games going into Gen Con, and honestly, the only reason it's at the bottom of this list, it's number 10, is because I didn't get to interact with it much, so I don't really have the personal experience to talk about how it feels to play. But I did get a little demo explanation of the game, and the components look great and so thematic. And I spoke with Jackie, who told me it was really important to her to have the game be as language independent as possible, which I really love. The reason I didn't get a chance to really experience the game for myself is because it was definitely a hot game of the con, and it sold out so fast. So, I couldn't get my hands on it. But I'm still so excited to finally actually play this, and seeing the demo has not tempered that excitement at all. Number 9 is Toppings, which is designed by Joseph Frederick and is coming to crowdfunding later this year from Ludimus Games. This game is basically about building the perfect slice of pizza. Each player has toppings that they love and toppings they despise, and if you can collect the toppings you really like, that's a good thing. But if you end up with too many icky toppings on your slice, obviously that's a bad thing. I'm just completely charmed by this game and how it looks. It definitely has that toy factor kind of appeal, right? I don't know, it makes me feel like nostalgic for the toy food you would play with as a kid. I don't know, I can't really explain it, but it makes me feel something to look at it. It just looks really clever, and I'm really excited for the crowdfunding campaign when it launches. Number 8 is Joyride, and very specifically, Joyride Dual Next Gen. That version is coming out in 2025. Joyride is from Rebellion Unplugged and is designed by Duncan Malloy and Pete Ward. So this crowdfunded last year, and honestly, I will tell you a secret, it's my favorite of all the Mario Kart racing style kind of games that were on Kickstarter last year. It feels frantic and wild and fun and exciting and tactical, and look at it. Can you tell I'm very visually driven? Every game I'm like, look at it. When I went by the Rebellion Unplugged booth at Gen Con, I saw they're coming out with this 2-player standalone version of the game that can mix and match with the original version. Yeah, I need this. Number 7 is Fromage. I'm really excited I saw this at Gen Con because my only exposure to it up to that point was on Board Game Arena. And I really wanted to see this in person, and it did not disappoint. It's designed by Matthew O'Malley and Ben Rossett. I'm not 100% sure I'm saying your last name right, Ben. I'm sorry. And the game is published by Road to Infamy Games. I think this is in the process of delivering to its Kickstarter backers, and they didn't have any copies for sale at Gen Con, sadly, but I will be getting this as soon as it's available for me to buy. So I don't know if this is actually a good description of the game, but I think of it like viticulture, but with cheese. But that's probably a better comparison when talking about the theme rather than the game mechanisms, if I'm being honest. So it's worker placement, but your workers are cheeses. And the longer the cheese workers age, the more value you get out of the action you take with them. But that also means it takes longer to get that worker back, because the board is split into 4 wedges and it rotates around. So you only get your worker back when it's facing you again. So it matters the facing you choose for your worker when you place it on the board. And each board wedge has a different area, majority, set collection type scoring. Anyway, it scratches an itch for me and I really like it a lot. And I love cheese. Number 6 is a game called Flickering Stars, designed by Matt Leacock and Josh Capel. Again, Josh, I don't know if I'm saying your last name right. I'm sorry if it's Capel. I'm not sure. And the game is published by Friendly Skeleton. This is a new flicking dexterity game that ramps up in strategic depth as you play through 3 introductory scenarios. I got to try this out with Matt Leacock, who is an incredibly lovely human, by the way, and it was really fun. So this one really surprised me because it's not just like flicking discs across a table. You've got spaceships and rocket launchers that use magnets to propel your missiles, and there's some pick up and deliver mechanisms and objectives you're trying to achieve and special powers you can unlock. I laughed a lot while we played this. I really am looking forward to getting to play it again. Game number 5 on the list is Knitting Circle, and I don't know if there has ever been a more on-brand game for me than this one, because the cat on the box looks like my cat. Also, I'm a knitter. Done. I love cats. I love knitting. I think this game is about me. I really like Calico, and Knitting Circle is in the Calico cinematic universe. It's designed by Emily Vincent and published by Flat Out Games. It's a puzzly tile laying game where you're collecting yarn to complete garments, and you've got a cat who helps you get more yarn with its grabby little paws. Y'all, it's so cute. It's a spatial puzzle like Calico, but it seems like it has more flexibility than the puzzle in Calico has. So if Calico hurts your brain in a good or a bad way, I think that this could scratch a similar itch but feel more cozy and relaxed. Game number 4. So number 4 on this list. Last year, one of my most anticipated games of Gen Con was called Defenders of the Dictionary from Adam's Apple Games. But the game didn't end up making it to Gen Con last year, and I was sad. But it was there this year. And I beelined over to the Adam's Apple Games booth to be able to check it out, and I'm so happy I did. I actually saw it on Thursday, and then on Friday, I dragged Nick and Mike Murphy over to the booth because I really wanted to show it to them, and then I just commandeered the demo and did the explanation myself. So this is cooperative Scrabble, kind of. The BGG page says this: your mission as a defender of the dictionary is to protect the diversity of language from the forces that seek to oversimplify it. Armed with your collective wisdom, you must use your words to navigate the city and stop the villains from diminishing the beauty of language. After all, knowledge is power, and it must be cherished. So you're all contributing letters to a pool that you then use to form a word each round. And then you place that word on the board following Scrabble rules. But you want the words to cover specific spaces on the board to meet objectives and defeat villains. Also, you lose points if you don't use certain letters in your words each round. It's really interesting, and I loved working together to try to come up with the best words to earn points, but also to meet your board placement goals. I'm excited. This game is in physical form now, and it's going to be crowdfunding soon, and I'm really excited about it. Number 3 is maybe a small cheat, but I balanced that out by not making it my number 1 on this list. I knocked it down a few pegs because maybe I'm a little bit of a cheater putting this on the list. Let me explain. Just hear me out, okay? Hear me out. The game is called Floristry, and it's designed by Tam and David Gordon. It's a 2-player only tile laying game that features Dutch auctions. So what that means is that you're bidding, in this case over a set of tiles each round, but as the auction goes on, the cost gets lower. They've got this phone app you use with the game that runs the auctions and tracks your money. So you hover your finger over the bid button on your phone, playing a game of chicken with your opponent because you want those tiles so bad, but you want to get them for as cheap as possible. So you're like waiting to hit the button just right before the moment when you think your opponent's going to spring for them and try and hit the button, but you want to get them, but you want to get their price down as low as you can before you hit. It's delicious. So here's why this is kind of a cheat, and that's because I first saw this game a couple months ago at an industry game day in Southern California, and I went into the demo of it at that point thinking, yeah, okay, another 2-player tile laying game. I mean, I like those, but what's gonna make this special? And y'all, that app and that Dutch auction is the answer. I cannot believe how fun this game is. That first day I saw it, we played it, and then immediately I asked if we could play it again. Then I went home. I called Matthew Jude to tell him I found our new favorite game. So when I had the chance to see this again at Gen Con and introduce it to Nick and Mike Murphy, I shouted, yes, please. Do not sleep on this. It's so fun. It takes the mechanism of laying tiles and scoring for the biggest grouping of each tile type, and it kicks it up like 10 notches. So keep an eye out for it. It's coming out in 2025. I'm predicting this is going to be my game of the year when it releases. I want you to know about it right now so that you can be ready when it comes out because I think it is so fun. Game number 2 is The Gang from Cosmos. It's designed by John Cooper and Corey Heath. So I would describe this as The Crew, but with poker instead of trick-taking. It's cooperative with limited communication, and you're all working together to form the best poker hand you can, kind of, using Texas Hold'em rules. So you get dealt 2 cards, and you look at them, and then you take poker chips to communicate to the other players how good you think your hand is. And as more cards come out and the quality of your hand either increases or decreases, you're trying to predict how everyone's hands rank compared to everyone else's, without saying what cards are actually in your hand. You are only allowed to take these poker chips that communicate like where you think your hand falls in the ranking. And after 4 rounds of making these predictions, you have to all bet that you've got your hands placed in the right order based on their quality. And then you go down the line and reveal your cards and see if you successfully predicted how good everyone's hands were. And that moment of reveal is so good and it has so much tension, especially if you've You've gotten it all right up until like the last two people. They haven't flipped over their hands yet. You've got a 50-50 shot now of winning. You just really hope that you've predicted correctly that like he's got the second best hand and she's got the best hand. It's good. And it's cheap. I think it's like a $15 game. Like, you should have this. You should own it. My number one game from Gen Con 2024 is kind of a surprise to me. I was walking past the Pegasus Spiel booth and something caught my eye. These beautiful, colorful wooden pieces, and I saw a game box and the designer name, Michael Kiesling, and I thought, I must know more. This is how I think. When I think aloud in crowds, I always go like this. I must know more. Okay, the game is in Taria, and it's about creating a beautiful parquet floor. And I was very kindly gifted a copy of this game by Pegasus Spiel, and I am so happy. I didn't know if I would like it. I just knew that it looked beautiful. But the game could have been just all style and no substance. It could have been a beautiful but ultimately underbaked showstopper on Bake Off. But I have played this game, and there are no soggy bottoms here. This analogy does totally work, by the way, because the game is set in a cafe, which has baked goods, I'm assuming. So there. So you turn in cards to pick up different wooden pieces for your floor. And depending on the kind of piece you build, you might get to pick up more cards or earn sets of tools, which are worth points. And you can manipulate your hand and your building choices to extend your round and take really efficient actions that lead to more actions. And it's a really satisfying puzzle for my brain while also being really stimulating visually and tactilely. It's such a lovely production, and I think it's really good. It's different to Azul, which is another game by Michael Kiesling, which you may know, but I think this has the chance to be as popular, and it's as good as Azul. Honestly, I might like it better. And that's it. My top 10 games from Gen Con 2024 that got me excited. Were you at Gen Con? I would love to know what got you excited, especially because there's so much I didn't get to see. Let me know what I missed. Thank you so much for watching this. It's really fun talking about games that I like, and I hope that you've had fun watching. An extra special thank you to everyone who supports me on Patreon. You help keep me running and feeling encouraged, and are a big reason I was able to get a gimbal to help me with getting better convention footage. If you are interested in adding your support, go check out the Patreon. Okay, that's it for now. See ya. Wash your hands. I'm gonna wash my hands more. I don't want to get sick ever again.